Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we break down what the mainstream would say out loud. Today we are diving into something that got the internet buzzing and people raising eyebrows coast to coast. California's buzzed spots. Practically empty, no ship pulling in, no containers going out, and now they are saying it's because of terrorist threats. But that is just the surface. Across Europe, blackouts hit millions, 50 millions to be exact, and they are blaming it on solar activists. Come on now. As supply chains go silent and the port sits real, the real question on everyone's mind is what is really moving through those empty docks, goods, or something else entirely? Stick around because in today's video we are unpacking the theories, the official narratives, and the growing concern that something much bigger is unfolding quietly, strategically, and right under our noses. You are not gonna want to miss this.
I hope y'all waking up and actually paying attention to what's going on right now. The California ports, one of the busiest in the world, is looking hella empty right now, y'all. It's no ships pulling in, no shipments going out, and they trying to tell us, oh, don't worry, it's just because of the tariffs. The tariffs is the reason why this is happening. Maybe it is a little bit of the tariffs, but what else is it? Y'all just seen what happened the other day in some parts of Europe. Power outages. I'm talking blackouts everywhere. 50 million people was affected. And they talking about some solar activities. And now the supply chain is drying up quietly? I'll ask yourself, what moves easier through empty ports? Goods or something else? You think they clearing it out for business? Or they clearing it out for something they don't want to tell us? We gonna have to figure it out once it happened. Y'all gotta remember, every time history changed overnight, it started quietly like this. I'm telling y'all, we haven't seen the full picture yet. But best believe, this shit's already in motion, y'all.
America, this is not a joke. All these videos and stories you've heard about the ports, this is real. This is Shanghai right now on the National Aquamarine site. Every single circle here in Shanghai is a vessel that's just sitting there. Now let's take a look at America. Here's Los Angeles, one of our busiest ports. Nobody's there. I even looked at Philadelphia and New York. Nothing. Then I thought about Washington State, huge ports. Nothing. Back to China. That's what I'm saying. This is not good. So these articles are not lying. Huge decline at LA port is a hit to truckers and a stark warning of coming tariff damage? I would say so. Once again, that's LA right now. Nothing. There's nothing there. Even Financial Times from Vision, a data provider, showed container bookings from China to the US fell 45% by mid-April. I don't think they're coming, people. I mean, this shit is everywhere. Empty ports, empty shelves. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but if you see the amount of circles on this map right here in Shanghai, the world's busiest port, that means they might not be coming. I just want people to know this is real. And we have nothing going on at our ports.
The U.S. ports are empty, and that's obviously because of the tariffs. And so I'm just counting down the days till people start going crazy in the grocery stores. Like, if the grocery stores are going to have less and less product because now everyone is aware that the ports are empty, meaning no product is coming in, so the shelves are going to start to, not be replenished. Yeah, people are going to start going in there and going crazy. Now, whether they buy the items in bulk and, do that whole thing, or they just grab the items and run the fuck out of the store, I don't know. But I'm not really blaming anyone regardless, because this is what the fuck happens. Like, the tariffs have literally caused the ports to be empty. If the ports are empty, let's just context clues, that must mean that there's not going to be anything to put on the shelves, because there's nothing at the ports to collect, to take to the stores in order to stock the shelves with. There's nothing there. The U.S. ports are empty. Here the fuck we are. I don't know if I'm going to have to start growing shit and learning how to farm and shit. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just seeing the pattern right now, and it's not looking cute. Nothing in the U.S. ports, bitch. I think the people are about to go crazy in these stores. I really do.
I promise I'm not trying to raise a ton of concern here, but what you're looking at right now in real time is the port of Shanghai. This is the busiest port in China, and all of the yellow that you're seeing, the arrows are moving cargo ships, and the yellow dots are the ones that are either anchored or docked for loading or because of the tariffs, waiting until they're getting the green light to go ahead and move on with their shipments. Now, let's compare this to what we are seeing in the United States. This is the port of Los Angeles. Again, this is in real time. You can go look on Vessel Tracker right now. Everything that's a cargo ship is docked and nothing is coming in and out. Now keep in mind, China has come out and said because of the tariffs and the trade war that's happening right now, China has said they're stopping most, if not all, of their shipments to the United States for the time being. This is a little scary because this is supposed to be the busiest port in the entire Western Hemisphere, and there is nothing coming in and out right now.
So I'm heading to the port of Long Beach right now to actually see what the hell is going on. At the very moment, there's one cargo ship, but it's literally out in the bay. Normally, when I'm here, there's like at least 5 or 6 cargo ships. The thing that's really scary right now is that I don't smell any truck gasoline. This is like the freshest I've ever smelled the port. And I've come here for raves. Like, what the hell? Alright, clear road. Here we go. Okay, the first obvious sign is wild. This is a 710 right here. Normally, this whole road is filled with trucks. Like, there's barely a single truck that's, like, stopped except for that guy right there. And look at that. That's like a flatbed. Okay, you got one container, and you got another container, but outside of that, like, there's usually a traffic jam here. There's no traffic jam. Now I'm heading towards the Queen Mary so that way I can try and get a better view. There she is, the Queen Mary in all her beauty. Thank you, Long Beach, for keeping this beautiful ship. Okay, good sign right there. There are some trucks. One's got some cargo. There's 1, 2, 3. One has no cargo. That's scary. I also see shipping containers, which is a good sign. That truck has nothing. That's wild. Normally these flatbed trucks have containers on them. Another truck. These trucks are fucking empty. Yo, this is scary. Seeing empty flatbed trucks is wild. This whole road would be filled with trucks. Filled with trucks. Look, another empty truck. And there goes my health insurance. Who needs universal health care when you can have a massive military helicopter like the beautiful Romeo? Bye, health insurance. Okay, here's something I noticed. There's more trucks going in, which is good, but every truck that's come out has been empty, like empty flatbeds. Well, out of like 10 I've seen so far that were empty, there's one with a container, which is a good sign. But like, notice the cranes. The cranes aren't moving. They're not moving one bit. Another empty one. Literally for the past like 3-5 minutes that I've been here, I have not seen a single crane move. This is definitely not a good sign. I don't see any cranes moving. I don't see any longshoremen on the cranes. I literally see more flatbed trucks with empty cargo. And on top of that, I don't smell fucking gasoline out here. Normally, I'm hawking up a loogie because of how much gasoline there is in the port of Long Beach, but there's no gas smell. It's safe to say that we most definitely are in for it. So after carefully observing the port of Long Beach, I noticed no cranes were moving, there were no longshoremen on the cranes, no shipping containers were picked up, and almost every single truck that had a shipping container was going into the port, and almost every truck coming out of the port was empty. There were a few stragglers, which is a good sign, but I am very concerned now. The Port of Long Beach is like one of the largest employers in SoCal, so this is fucking wild. Long Beach has the second busiest port in the United States, and not a single crane was moving. You may do what you want with this video, but it is safe to say from my perspective, we are royally screwed. Thank you and have a nice day.
Let's talk about what is happening at California ports. Not what they say is happening, but what we are actually seeing. One of the busiest shipping hubs in the world is running eerily quiet right now. No major frightening traffic, no long lines of cargo ships stacking up in the bay. The kind of activism we are used to seeing. Hundreds of containers coming and going around the clock is just missing. Now the official story is simple. national security concern, specifically threat of terrorist activities. That is what they are floating out there to explain the sudden stillness. But here is the problem. When you look at the scale of the slowdown, the timeline, and how quietly it's being handled, it raises way more questions than it answers. Let's start with logistics. The port of Los Angeles and Long Beach alone handle over 40% of the containers entering the US. If anything chokes that flow, even by a few days, it sends ripples through the entire supply chain. So if this is a security measure, where is the media urgency? Where is the briefings? Where are the interviews with port officials or Homeland Security breaking it down for the public? Instead, it's cricket. And it's not just the US across the Atlantic. Something equally strange happened. A massive blackout in Europe. 50 million people affected. Entire cities gone dark without warning. The explanation: solar activism, a majestic storm suddenly, and hey, sure, space weather is real. Solar flames can and do mess with power grids, but you know what solar flames doesn't do? Knock out grill systems in multiple countries all at once with zero preparedness or response coordination. That is not how utility infrastructure works, especially in countries that have decades of experience managing energy destruction. So let's piece this together. On one side of the world, lights go out. On the other side, the shipping lanes grill to a halt. And both of these events are being brushed off with generic explanation that doesn't hold under scrutiny. Now here is where it gets deeper. The supply chain doesn't just serve as the lifeline for goods and commerce, it's also the veil under which a lot of less visible things can happen. Think about it. If you wanted to quietly move military assets, advanced surveillance tech, or even personnel in and out of sensitive locations, there is no better cover than the chaos of shipping. And there is no better timing than during a perceived shutdown where the public attention is focused on terror threats or cosmic anomalies. So ask yourself, what moves easier through empty ports, legitimate trade or operation that strive in the shadow? And why this is happening, look at the behavior of institutions. Corporate media is silent, government agencies are vacuum, tech platforms are throttling conversation around these topics, posts get flagged, videos get demonetized, narratives get reshaped before they even spread. That doesn't happen when the story is harmless, that happens when the truth is inconvenient. Now let's zoom out a little. This isn't the first time we've seen this drop frame as coincidence. Remember 2020, the early days of the pandemic, everything went from normal to emergency in a matter of weeks, and all the signs were there in hindsight. Ships were idle, warehouses were stockpiling, communications were vacuum, and then the full picture hit, and it was too late to prepare. History doesn't always repeat itself, but does echo. And right now, these echoes are loud. Let's talk timing. It's Q2. This is when global trade typically ramps up, businesses restocking inventory, manufacturers praying for the second half of the year. Instead, the ports are stalling. Supply chain insiders are reporting order delays, missing manifest, inconvenient custom processes, and it's not just a California problem. New York and Gulf ports are starting to mirror the same threats, and yet no mainstream investigation. Just don't worry, we have got it under the control. Here's the thing, when governments want to maintain calm, they downplay, but when they really want to shift something, geopolitically, economically, militarily, they distract, and this situation feels less like a calm down effort and more like a shell game. Now let's bring this back to the blackout in Europe. We have got millions suddenly without power, communication networks down, satellite signals disrupted, and why that was happening? No international emergency protocol activated, no LATO statements, no unified power grid response, nothing. Why? Because maybe the story wasn't about the power at all. Maybe the blackout was the opportunity, a window where certain systems could go offline, get routine, or be tested in ways that can't happen when the grid is up and monitored. And maybe, just maybe, that test is linked to the quietness at our ports. It's not fear-mongering to ask questions, it's survival. In a time when information is filtered, narratives are curated, and attention spans are hijacked by trends and distraction, staying curious is an art of resistance. Because let's be real, nobody is going to issue a press release that says, hey flux, the world's about to change. Buckle up, that is not how this works. Every major historical shift, every collapse or transformation always looked like confusion at first, like conflicting stories, like silence in places where there should be noise. And right now, these are a whole lot of silence in the place that matter most. So what can you do? Start watching flight data, post traffic trackers, AIS ship movement logs. Compare those visuals to previous years. Look at the commercial invoices and global order charts from major suppliers. Watch power grid reports. Listen to whistleblowers in logistics and shipping firms. Don't wait for permission to notice patterns. The patterns are already there. And as for the narrative around terrorism and solar activity, remember, those are just labels. They are tools to guide public perception, not necessary lies, but not the whole truth either. The more you rely on headlines, the more you are reacting instead of preparing. Because the moment you realize something off, that is the moment you need to be making decisions. Quiet spot hasn't just economic red flags. They are a signal, a reset, a placeholder for something else to move through. Whether it's military, digital infrastructure, or geopolitical posturing, we don't know yet, but what we do know is that nothing like this ever happens in a vacuum. Stay aware, stay connected, and most importantly, don't dismiss the sign because they seem too big to be true. Sometimes the truth is exactly that big. If you found this breakdown helpful, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. What do you think is really going on behind the scene? Stay sharp, stay ready, and I will see you in the next one.